Well, good morning, everybody. And as we start this new week, I thought we'd begin first by looking at some satellite imagery from last night. Here's the two main features we've been talking about for a while. Of course, Hurricane Ian and what is left of it as it's made its extratropical transition. And then the larger low that took shape over the northwest and is sitting early this morning still here over parts of Wyoming and Montana. I'll show you the total precipitation in a few moments. But as the sun set last night, you can see right there, we're going to continue to deal with rains from Ian as the sun rises this morning here, because there's not much moving this out to open ocean. So expect still quite a bit of heavy rain over parts of the mid-Atlantic. And as the sun just kind of rose right here across the Midwestern plains, we're going to see this upper level low very quickly move its way through the Great Lakes and get wrapped up into the Hudson Bay. As we talked a lot about last week, this particular system is starved for moisture, and as a result, we're not going to be seeing tremendous amounts of rain out of this as it moves through. Now, when we look back over the last week, and this is one of the things I included in today's report, the forecast track of Ian, as everyone knows, was quite challenging early. Remember, there was a lot of forecast tracks that brought this system through parts of Florida and then really delivered a lot of rain into parts of Georgia and then a more significant chunk here of Tennessee and Kentucky. But as we saw Ian interact with that frontal boundary that was draped across parts of Florida, just push it farther to the east. That was one of the big components of its flow. But what I want you to see here is that over the last 7 days, total rainfall amounts, as we look from Florida through the Carolinas into the Mid-Atlantic, many places here were 3 to 5 inches, with much higher amounts, of course, where Ian made landfall here in parts of South Carolina, along the coast of North Carolina, and then, of course, down in Florida. But just coming back to the Midwest, parts of the Mid-South, the South Central part of the United States, very dry overall. And the system that came out here, most of this precipitation was really pushed up against the mountain. So this was a lot of upslope flow. Some places in Montana getting a lot of rainfall. And so for late season pasture growth, for the cattle industry, sugar beets, other major crops grown in this area that could use a good push of moisture at the end, got it. I mean, this is what we would want to see for a lot of folks. So this system's moving on out, but before I do that, I just want to show you the last 2 weeks of rainfall anomalies. So this is compared to normal. We've just had wide open harvest windows for a broad section of the mid part of the United States, and we want to ask, how much longer is that going to last, and when's that next big disruptive system going to be coming through? So as you look over the next 7 days from today's WPC rainfall forecast, we don't see it. We see Ian exiting. We see the low pressure system that was here pulling through, Ontario and Quebec, but not delivering a whole lot of rain, just some cloud cover to parts of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes states. And then around the larger high to the south, we're just pulling up what would look like more like monsoonal flow coming through the Four Corner states, but it's a little different than the strong monsoonal flow we get in the middle of summer, which is largely heat driven. So from there, let's just take a look at how dry things are at the top level, because many of us that are going through harvest in midsection of the country right now have noticed it is very dusty as harvest goes on. And I just want to show you that soil moisture in the top 4 inches, a lot of places is down there below 2%. Okay, from here, let's just take a look at the high-res NAM and see where things are going. Let's pick this up about 9 o'clock this morning. So those two systems we talked about throughout the day today continue to spread light rain right in through here. And then some heavier rain over parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, getting into Delaware, and the far eastern side of Virginia. And we're going to watch that precipitation through this evening and getting into tomorrow morning, tomorrow midday on Tuesday, and then getting right on throughout the day here on Wednesday. And so what we're really watching here is just a very slow exit of Ian's rainfall while the system rolls through the midsection of the country, bringing some scattered precipitation. From there, let's let the high-res European model pick up on things. So let's get right there to Wednesday midday. And what I'm watching for here is any sort of large disruptive weather system that brings in a lot of precipitation. Now, Thursday into Friday, this high pressure cell is going to be the main discussion as it delivers quite a bit of cold air. I'll show you that in a second. But I don't see the jet stream pattern setting itself up to produce one of those just large, disruptive, wet systems that rolls through the midsection of the country, like the one we saw a year ago on, around October 11th through the 15th. Not seen it this year at the beginning of October. Now, we do expect a shift overall in this jet stream pattern once we get into the middle of October, but it's going to be a while before we see that. In the meantime, the main feature is this. This cutoff low here south of Alaska is allowing the jet stream to run over the top of it and then dive here into the eastern half of North America. That's going to deliver cold air, but it's convergent flow. In other words, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, the air is converging and sinking. That leads to high pressure, that leads to cold conditions. See the trough that's developing here, going fully into like the 13th, 14th, and 15th. That particular setup is just not one that delivers a lot of rainfall. So you got week 1 precipitation anomalies on the left, week 2 precipitation anomalies on the right, which means all these things we've been discussing about when the pattern's going to shift will be beyond, the middle part of this month. That's still quite consistent in the forecast. So the bigger things we're watching in the near term are going to come over to a temperature discussion. And this map right here shows you where we expect to see a temperature below 32 Fahrenheit over the next 7 days. So a frost in parts of southern Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio right in through here. This is about 7 to 10 days early. In parts of Kentucky, this could be up to 2 weeks early. But that's just the depth of this cold air that's coming through, and let's go look at the timing of it. So these are high temperatures. The shading represents temperature anomalies. So this is Tuesday, tomorrow, getting into Wednesday. Broad warmth ahead of this. That's that larger ridge opening. But then as we go into Thursday and Friday and Saturday, that's going to be the first substantial shot at cold fall air moving through a big section of the country. Across the West, the heat is on. We're going to keep things warm. This is going to extend the growing season across the West and buy time for pockets in the Pacific Northwest, places that, because of a very late start this year due to cold and wet weather, are going to be getting some extra time here. And the models are kind of generous with that warmth in the West. This is that 5-day sliding window playing out through the middle of October here, and then going almost to the beginning of the 3rd week of October. We just continue to see broader ridging across the West to warmer conditions. So to finish this up, I just want to let you know there are 2 areas in the tropics we're keeping an eye on. National Hurricane Center is giving this a 40% chance of developing, but right now keeping it pretty far to the south, and a much higher percent chance for the second system to develop, but overall it appears the steering current's going to keep that out over open ocean. Last thing I want to talk about South America. Over the next 10 days, we continue to see above average rainfall through much of central Brazil from Mato Grosso through Mato Grosso do Sul, over toward Goiás and Minas Gerais, and then all the way down here through Paraná. If there are drought issues that we're going to have to continue to watch, they are in far southern Brazil, but along the Paraná River in Argentina over toward Buenos Aires, and this has been an ongoing discussion we've been having. Temperatures are pretty cool through the next 10 days as well, seeing some places between 5 and 10 C below normal, meaning this is going to be a colder spring for a lot of folks. But the planting pace north, right here, there we go. The planting pace in north in Mato Grosso is currently at 6.29%. On Friday, the average was 1.8, and so we're about, roughly 5% above normal, and even above last year's planting pace, which was fast in Mato Grosso. So we're going to watch all of this, and I'll report back again tomorrow morning. Have a good one. Thanks.